Hey, what's up, guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. We are talking about the very popular, very highly anticipated Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, we would have loved to have brought this review to you much sooner. That was the plan. But I've been sick for the last week, so I was out of action. Didn't think it would be appropriate to be coughing all the way through a review. I didn't think you guys would like that too much. So that is why we are late bringing out this review. So apologies, but we are here now. And if you would like to hear our thoughts on Mortal Kombat, then stick around. And we will also be bringing out a review of The Falcon and Winter Soldier very soon. That will be our next video. So if you also want to see that review, then make sure you hit the subscribe button to see when we release that one. But today we are going to be talking about Mortal Kombat. And it was a movie that, in all honesty, I wasn't overly keen to see.
Not really your kind of thing, is it?
Martial arts movies, fighting movies, they're not really my cup of tea.
Not really my cup of tea.
But look, I did see the trailer and thought it did look pretty cool. So I once I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, all right, let's give it a go. Plus, it was made in Australia.
Yeah.
We got to support the Australian films.
We do.
I did know a few of the names that were working on this in terms of the makeup and the costume department, so I was keen to see their work as well. And look, overall, it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I think it's just a really fun, over-the-top, violent, gory movie. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Now, this movie follows Cole Young, who's a brand new character to Mortal Kombat. He's an MMA fighter, and he's chosen as one of the champions of Earthrealm in their eternal battle with the forces of Outworld. Now, is this a perfect movie? No. Did I have an absolute blast watching it? Yes, I did. I had so much fun with this movie. I remember when it ended and I was like, man, that was fun. That was really dope. And then I looked around me and no one else was enjoying themselves. And I was really hoping to kind of, nerd out and, talk about it. And yeah, no one else was in the mood.
You had me.
Yeah.
Although, admittedly, I haven't actually seen the original, so I couldn't nerd out too much.
And it's one of those movies that it's really hard as a critic to analyze because I've had too much fun with it. And that's what I want going into a movie. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy it. And if I do that, then that's a good movie. All right. That's done its job. Okay. I don't go in as a critic looking to pick apart every little thing that I see. That's not how I go about watching a movie. I just turn my brain off. I let the movie take me where it wants to go. All right. And I'll either enjoy it or I won't. But I don't go in to overanalyze and critique it on the spot. Okay, I kind of just take it as it is. And I'm sorry, but I had an absolute blast with this film.
And that's fine. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Does it have its issues? Yes, of course it has its issues. Cole Young, for example, as the main character, was lacking a little bit of personality. The soundtrack was a little bit stock standard Hollywood, You do kind of miss that kind of techno kind of stuff that the 1995 film did. And you definitely miss that iconic theme song. They only kind of brought it in here and there. I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, they needed to utilize that a lot more. Some of the editing was a little bit choppy. You could definitely tell when they were editing a fight scene with non-martial artists because they definitely brought in that quick cutting editing style to kind of hide the fact that they didn't really know what they were doing. I'm sure they trained, but you can definitely tell when there's a non-martial artist compared to a trained martial artist there. And yeah, that editing style, does get a little bit choppy at times. But some of the fight choreography was fantastic. When you actually had proper martial artists doing their thing, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the fight scenes were good. And I personally, I think both of us really, but I was really wanting that gore from this movie. And I think we both loved where they went with that gore.
The fatalities were fantastic.
They were everything that I was hoping for. I've only played the game a few times in my lifetime. I've only seen snippets of the original, but I knew that it had to be gory at least.
Yeah.
And they delivered in that aspect. And yeah, so I thought the makeup and the effects were done very well. That one character who I will not name, one because spoilers, and two, I can't remember their name, when they got chopped in half, awesome. That was really cool. So there are a few scenes like that, and I was like, yes, okay. I can do fighting movies when they're like this. So they certainly delivered in the gore department. And I think for me, personally, I have to say, if it wasn't for the character Kano, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did. He was certainly the standout for me. And I think a lot of people from the reviews that we've seen, I think Kano has certainly been the standout for most people. I mean, you gotta love him.
He definitely stole the show. I mean, I was in stitches a couple of times in this movie. I laughed more in this than I do most comedies.
Yes.
It was hysterical. I loved him.
He was so funny.
And you could tell too that he was improvising a lot of his dialogue. And no offense to the writers. I mean, I know the writers are getting a lot of flack for this movie. I didn't hate it as much as some people. There were, some cheesy lines and stuff like that, but seriously, if you listen to like the dialogue and the cutscenes of the games, they're just as cheesy.
Yeah.
Like it's part of Mortal Kombat, that cheesy dialogue, and the whole thing is cheesy. Like, what do you expect, guys? But you can definitely tell that he was improvising a lot of his dialogue because Josh Lawson, if you don't know who Josh Lawson is, he's actually a comedian by trade. That's kind of where he, cut his teeth. And this is, him in a bit more of a serious role, but he is bringing those comedic chops to that, and you can definitely tell that he's, improvising a lot of these lines and bringing a little bit of his style into the movie, which is really good.
Yeah. I have to admit, at first, I did cringe when that Australian accent...
The really thick Australian accent.
You fucking beauty.
I don't know what it is with Hollywood, but when they put an Australian in a movie, they're like, really ham it up. Yeah, knocking in there, Aussies, yeah. Like, really ochre, and I just hate it. Why? We don't all sound like that, do we?
Example A and B.
No, you sound quite ochre sometimes.
Oh, do I?
Yes, you can. You do sometimes.
Get fucked.
Yeah. So, look, I did cringe at first hearing that accent, but just the shit that came out of his mouth. It was too funny not to laugh, and he grew on me very quickly, so I forgave him in the end. I think, it was quite... It was quite good hearing an Australian in a film like this. It was quite funny. And he nailed that character. But I honestly think if it wasn't for him, I probably would have been pretty bored with this, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's, as I've just said, like, these movies aren't my thing. Yeah. I probably would have just been like, oh yeah, they're kicking and punching again. So
there they go.
There, off they go.
I got to agree to an extent. I definitely think he, kind of stole the show in a lot of the scenes that he was in. But there were a couple of other characters that I thought, carried the film quite nicely as well. And that was Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And they're two of my favorite characters in the Mortal Kombat universe. Sub-Zero was an absolute badass in this. He was just this ice-cold killer.
Literally.
Yeah. I thought he was fantastic. He was just so menacing in this. He was the perfect bad guy. And that was the one thing they got right in this compared to the 1995 film. The 95 film, they were pretty much just henchmen, just hired goons. And it didn't really do them justice at all. That was the big down point of 1995 Mortal Kombat. This one, they got them right. I mean, Sub-Zero is so menacing, such a badass. Every scene he's in is absolutely fantastic. And Scorpion as well being one of my favorite characters. Like, he's always the one I choose first when I play the fighting games. It's always Scorpion. Love Scorpion. He was played fantastically. I love how they went into their lore and their backstory with, they're battling clans and stuff like that. I mean, that's part of the Mortal Kombat lore that they kind of brought into this. There were parts of the lore that they did change or, took some liberties with, which is fine, and that stuff didn't bother me too much. But I did enjoy the stuff that they did add from the actual lore. And that was one of the things, was the backstory with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And that rivalry, I thought, maybe you could have used a little bit more of them in the movie, but what we did get of them was absolutely fantastic. And the scenes that they were in, their fight scenes, aside from Josh Lawson's Kano, that's probably the other thing that stole the show for me, was the Scorpion Sub-Zero fights. I thought they were great.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other characters were, a little bit hit and miss. As I said, Cole Young was a little bit, lacking in personality a little bit, but he was fine. I didn't hate him as much as most people did. Sonya Blade I thought was good. What's the...
Jessica
McNamee, yeah, Australian
Australian
actress.
girl. So that was really cool to see her in a role like this. This is a pretty big role for her.
I thought she suited Sonya Blade.
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job.
I thought Jax was good. Raiden was, not too bad. Shang Tsung wasn't too bad. Again, there were a couple of characters probably just needed a little bit more personality. Just probably needed to kind of, I don't know. There's really fine balance with this kind of movie, right? It's like, how far do you go with the cheese? How far do you take the cheese, and how much do you kind of make it more serious and bring it back down to earth? I thought this film was really struggling with that line. Sometimes it got it right, sometimes it got it wrong. And maybe that was probably the biggest, I guess, inconsistency with the movie, is just that writing that line between over-the-top cheese and serious Mortal Kombat movie. You can definitely tell with some of the characters. Like, some of the characters were hammed up, like Kano and Cabal, and others were a little bit more serious and probably didn't have as much personality as what they probably needed. But that's fine. I thought for the most part, all the characters were good, were serviceable. But yeah, there was just definitely those few standouts. Kano, Sub-Zero, Scorpion. There was just those characters I thought really carried the movie. Now, there is a very notable absentee from this. And not to say that he's completely absent from the movie, or that he's not mentioned or anything like that, but Johnny Cage was the one that everyone was like, man, he's not in the trailers. What are they going to do with Johnny Cage? And look, if you don't want to know about Johnny Cage and kind of what his role is in this movie, then probably just block your ears for a second. I'll probably give you a thumbs up when we're ready to kick back into non-spoiler territory. But yeah, Johnny Cage is really only mentioned at the very end of this movie, in a poster. So they are leaving him up for a sequel. They are leaving him for the sequel, which I'm actually okay with. I'm actually glad they kept him out of this one, and I'll tell you why. If you had Johnny Cage in this, him and Kano would be battling for screen time. Could you just imagine like those two big personalities going at it? I think that if they tried to put him and Kano in the same movie, I just don't think it would have worked. So I'm actually glad they kept him out, and it does leave something to look forward to in the sequels, I think. So I was actually okay with them leaving out Johnny Cage. Okay, so
I didn't know any different.
Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I thought, as you said, the effects were done pretty well, with like the makeup and all that. The visual effects actually weren't too bad. Goro being like full CGI rather than animatronics like he was in the 1995 film. I thought for its budget, it did an alright job with that. Nothing was too distracting. And Mortal Kombat is known for its bad CGI. If you've seen the original couple of movies, it is known for its bad CGI.
From the snippets that I've seen when you've watched that one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the costumes and the wardrobe was very faithful to the characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they do take some liberties with a couple of characters, but the characters that counted, like your Sub-Zeros, your Scorpions and all that, their costumes were done right. Jax looked fantastic with the metal arms. Like all those main characters, they hit the nail on the head with like their little costume and character traits and stuff like that. That was done really well. So yeah, I thought this film did have a lot going for it. I thought action scenes were well done, well choreographed. I thought the effects were pretty good for what they were. I thought the characters were, pretty decent. There were a few that stole the show. A couple, more just serviceable characters. One or two that probably needed a bit more personality, but there was no one in there that really made me go, oh, I need to kind of turn this off. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this. The music probably needed a little bit of work. A couple of characters maybe need a little bit of work. Some of the editing in a couple of sections it did get a little bit choppy. But overall, I had a blast. Yeah. And I can't deny that. I can't go in and say, this movie was shit when I had this much fun with it. Yeah. Sorry, it was a good movie. I had a blast with it. A movie's job is to entertain you. If it does that, it's done its job. Yeah. Okay? So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, yes, look, I had fun too. After seeing the trailer, it was as I anticipated, as I expected. We laughed a lot, loved the gore. So I think it was a tick from both of us. Yeah. But now let us know what you thought of Mortal Kombat 2021's version. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you one of the haters? What did you hate about it? Let us know in the comments. But if you liked it or you're in the middle, drop us your thoughts as well.
Yeah, and if you like what we do, make sure you slam that like button. Hit the bell for the notifications to be notified of what we got coming up next, because as Emma said, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier review coming up very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe to our channel to become part of the Headspace Films community, and most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
See ya.